The committee will be in order. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs. Today, we have 3 confirmation hearings. We are going to take them up in alphabetical order, beginning with Brooke Bailey, followed by Colton Gross, followed by Mr. Dennis Marble. Before we do that, we'll have committee introductions, starting on my left today with Representative Mallon.
Good afternoon, folks. I am Mark Mallon. I represent House District 133, which is part of the great city of Biddeford.
Sean Faircloth, House 24.
Representative Benjamin Himes from House District 38.
Good afternoon, Jeff Timblake, 17.
Mr. Terry.
I'm Representative Terry from District 108 in Gorham.
Quentin Chapman, District 88, Auburn, Maine, as well as Danville.
David Boyer, District 87, represent the individuals of Poland and Mechanic Falls.
Madam Chair.
Hello, my name is Laura Supika. I represent District 22, which is a portion of the great city of Bangor.
And I'm Craig Hickman. I represent Senate District 14, 12 municipalities in southern Kennebec County, including my beloved hometown of Winthrop. Today, we have with us Eleanor Ray, who is our committee clerk, and she'll be calling the roll on these confirmations. So without further ado, this is a public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Brooke J. Bailey, Esquire of Westbrook, for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. Under the law and joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold this public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendations to the President of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other persons present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Persons testifying at the public hearing today are advised that the hearing is live streamed and may be seen and heard by persons watching online, and that a recording of the meeting will be archived. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which require that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Representative Supika for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Veteran and Legal Affairs recommend confirmation of Brooke J. Bailey, Esquire of Westbrook, for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices.
Thank you. Representative Frost, thank you for being here. You may please introduce yourself for the record.
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Frost, represent District 58. That's 6 wonderful towns, and they include Belgrade, Rome, Mount Vernon, New Sharon, Vienna, and Fayette.
A copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum. Chair now recognizes Mr. Bushi for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you and good afternoon, Senator Hickman, Representative Supika, distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs. My name is Joe Bushi and I'm the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Mills. And I'm happy to be here today on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of Brooke Bailey of Westbrook for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. The commission consists of 5 members, 4 members nominated by each of the House and Senate's individual party leaders, and no more than 2 commission members may be enrolled in the same party, which then the 5th member is an unenrolled member. A person may not be appointed to this commission who is a member of the legislature or the previous legislature, or who was a declared candidate for an elective county, state, or federal office within 2 years prior to the appointment. And they may not serve on the commission if they are an officer, deputy, director, employee, or primary decision maker of a party committee, political action committee, or candidate committee. Ms. Bailey is the nominee of the Speaker of the House. She is a graduate of the University of Southern Maine and the University of Maine School of Law. She is an attorney and operations manager for Legal Ease LLC, where she worked as a paralegal and law clerk prior to becoming an attorney. She's previously served as a member of South Portland's Planning Board and their Affordable Housing Coalition, and currently serves as board member and legal counsel of the nonprofit Maine Women's Conference. On behalf of Governor Mills, I'd urge you to support the nomination of Brooke Bailey of Westbrook for the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bushy, for being here to present this nomination on behalf of the governor. The chair would ask if any member of the committee has questions of Mr. Bushy at this time. Seeing none.
Thank you.
The chair now recognizes Brooke J. Bailey Esquire for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Good afternoon and welcome to the VLA committee.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Members of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs. My name is Brooke Bailey. I live in Westbrook, and I'm here today to discuss my nomination to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. I am honored to be considered for this role, and I'm very interested in the opportunity to serve. I believe the Commission plays a critical role in maintaining public trust in government, and I would approach this position with a strong commitment to fairness, integrity, and thoughtful decision-making. By way of background, I am an attorney practicing in Maine, where I regularly analyze statutes and regulations, evaluate complex factual situations, and exercise independent judgment in my varied caseload. In addition to my legal work, I serve as vice president and operations manager of the law firm where I practice. In this position, I oversee compliance, accounting practices, policy development, and organizational decision-making for the firm. I have also had the opportunity to serve on the South Portland Planning Board, where I participated in public hearings and applied regulatory frameworks to make decisions affecting the community. That experience further strengthened my appreciation for the importance of public confidence in government process. Through my education, including degrees in political science and communication, and my legal training, as well as my prior experience with campaign-related activities, I have developed an understanding of both the legal and practical aspects of elections and governance. If confirmed, I believe I would bring a balanced and thoughtful approach to the Commission's role in applying the law fairly and consistently. Thank you for your time and consideration today.
And thank you very much for being willing to be considered for this very important role, especially at this time. The chair would ask if there are any questions of the committee. For the nominee, chair recognizes Representative Mallon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First and foremost, it's good to see a Biddeford High School graduate nominated for this position. My daughter will be a freshman there next year. But on a more serious note, as you might be aware, the ethics website for candidates and lobbyists and personal source of income filings has been undergoing an overhaul that I would categorize as disastrous. And so in your position as a commissioner, are you willing and able to, issue some oversight over the staff and ensure that those functions are doing what they should? Because I will tell you, it has been very difficult for filers to navigate that new site, and like reminders have been missed and things like that. And also it's been very difficult for members of the public to look up campaign finance reports, filings, and all of these things that are important for their right to know and have transparency. So it's a longer question than I normally like to ask, but it's been on my mind and I'd like to get your response to that.
Sure, absolutely. I believe, if the website is sort of the first area where people are going to find information, it should be clear and user-friendly. So I would absolutely be willing, if confirmed, to take a look at that with my fellow commission members and get to work on it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Chair recognizes Representative Frost.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thanks so much for being here. This is exciting. Can you just tell me what the Super Lawyers Rising Star Award is, and is there a special reason that you got it?
Sure. It's a national group that recognizes trial lawyers, and I believe the Rising Stars designee is specific to, I believe it's attorneys practicing. It's either less than 5 years or 10 years, and so it's sort of a smaller group of newer attorneys that they seek, and you get nominated by fellow attorneys, judges, people in the legal community can submit your name for nomination. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Boyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here. I see you're a volunteer on some campaigns, but could you talk about any other further experience with campaign finance, helping candidates or filing reports or campaign law?
Sure. I do not have extensive experience at all in campaign finance. Really what was on my resume is the extent of my experience in specific political campaigns, which was more a nature of volunteer work, canvassing, getting out the vote of that sort. But I really don't have experience in specific campaign finance. But I do have experience in throughout my role as an attorney and being on the planning board and such, just, process and helping the community, guiding them to a process and overseeing specific rules and, conduct that needs to be followed.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Representative Himes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here today and congratulations on your nomination. I usually ask this question at confirmation hearings during my military career. I loved asking this question on the board because I think it's very important for negative self-reflection. So can you please explain to the committee what is one of your most memorable failures in your professional life?
Sure. I can very easily answer this. I was a paralegal at the time, and it was an eviction case I was assisting an attorney with, and I had done many of them at the time, prepared the attorney, prepared the file. The eviction cases are extremely technical. And for some reason, I think it was likely because I had just taken on too much maybe in that month, but I was in charge of filing a complaint with the court, which was, again, it's very technical. You have to file it a day before the hearing, or else you don't get on the docket for that day, and they only have them a couple days a month. And I had missed that filing, and I was absolutely horrified. And, I learned from it, and I now, I'm a very avid list creator, a tickler system, just multiple entries in my calendar at all times that I learned from that experience.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the committee? The chair would simply ask if you could rate on a scale of 1 to 5 your judgment.
5.
Are there any other questions from the committee for the nominee? We appreciate you being up here today.
Thank you very much.
The chair will now take comments from persons attending this hearing who wish to speak for or against this nomination. Anyone who has a written statement but who does not wish to speak should have submitted the statement with the committee clerk prior to today's hearing. Also, the statement shall contain the name and residence of the person who prepared the statement. A copy of each written statement presented to the committee at this hearing will be made available to the nominee prior to the committee's vote, and the nominee will have an opportunity to respond to the written comment. Those who wish to speak should observe the following. Please sign in on the testimony sign-in sheet at the podium. Please speak from the rostrum and state your name and place of residence prior to presenting your testimony. Persons participating electronically will be called upon by the chairs, at which time they will be promoted to panelists and can be seen and heard. Is there anyone online? Thank you. Only comments concerning the suitability of this particular nominee for this particular position will be considered in order. All other comments will be considered out of order. Please remain at the podium after you complete your statement so that members of the committee may have an opportunity to ask questions. First, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of the nomination? Seeing none. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak against this nomination? Seeing none. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the nomination? Seeing none. All public comments, therefore, having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. Review any additional written comments on the nomination that have been received by the committee. Vote on the nomination, notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title 3 MRSA Section 157 and the joint rules. The vote must be taken within 35 days from the date of the governor's written notice. The hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs for Brooke J. Bailey, Esquire of Westbrook, for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices is closed. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take the vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, therefore, the chair will require whether any member present objects to proceeding to taking the vote immediately.
Object.
There is an objection. The committee will meet no sooner than 1:47 p.m. The committee will be at ease.
He's a little older than me.
That's why I was.
Want me to go in your place?
Yeah.
I'm
pretty- very long. Very
I can go print another copy of that if we got time.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Okay.
Right now, while we speak.
Okay, sounds good.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It is false.
I got
I am
The committee will be in order. Thank you. The pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs recommend to the Senate of the 132nd Maine Legislature that the nomination of, Brooke E. Bailey Esquire of Westbrook be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, and the joint rules of the 132nd Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Committee clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Graham. Yay. Representative Graham, yay. Representative Terry.
Yay.
Representative Terry, yay. Representative Frost. Representative Frost, absent. Representative Chapman.
Yay.
Representative Chapman, yay. Senator Doosan. Senator Doosan, absent. Representative Boyer.
Yes.
Representative Boyer, yes. Senator Hickman.
Yay.
Senator Hickman, yay. Representative Supika.
Yes.
Representative Supika, yes. Senator Timberlake.
Yep.
Senator Timberlake, yes. Representative Himes.
Yes.
Representative Himes, yes. Representative Fredericks.
Yes.
Representative Fredericks, yes. Representative Faircloth.
Yes.
Representative Faircloth, yes. Representative Mallon.
Yes.
Representative Mallon, yes. Circling back around to Representative Frost.
Yes.
Representative Frost, yes. Out of the 12 members present, that is unanimous, yes.
12 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative, none in the negative, with 1 member absent. It is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs that the nomination of Brooke J. Bailey Esquire of Westbrook for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices be confirmed. Congratulations. Thank you. Representative Fredericks, please introduce yourself and welcome.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ann Fredericks. I represent House District 143, that's in Sanford, and I have been listening and watching on my way in.
Thank you for being here today. This is a public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs for the purpose of considering the nomination by the Governor of Colton Gross Esquire of Portland for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. Under the law and joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold this public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by a majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendations to the President of the Senate. The committee may hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other persons present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Persons testifying at the public hearing today are advised that the hearing is live streamed and may be seen and heard by persons watching online, and that a recording of the meeting will be archived. I move, pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the Maine statutes, which require that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Representative Boyer for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs recommend confirmation of Colton Gross Esquire of Portland for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices.
Copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum. The chair now again recognizes Mr. Bushy for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you once again, Senator Hickman, Representative Supika, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs. My name is Joe Bushy, and I'm the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Mills. I'm happy to be here on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of Colton Gross of Portland for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. Mr. Gross is the nominee of the Senate Republican leader. He's a graduate of Western New England University, the University of Maine School of Law. He currently owns and practices at his own firm, Gross Injury Law in Falmouth, and previously practiced at Thistle, Weaver, and Morris. He has received the Katahdin Award for pro bono service 3 times and has appeared before the Ethics Commission in the past. On behalf of Governor Mills, I urge you to support the nomination of Colton Gross for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you, sir. Chair would ask if the member of the committee has any questions for Mr. Bushy at this time. Seeing none.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Colton Gross Esquire for the purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination. Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience and thank you for putting yourself forward for this role.
Yes. Good afternoon, Chair Hickman. Good afternoon, Chair Supika, and members of the committee. My name is Colton Gross. I was raised in Herman, Maine, and now live in Portland, Maine. I thank you for the opportunity to appear before you all. I would also like to thank Governor Mills for my nomination and hope that the committee confirms my appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. Ethics is such an important word that is best defined as the moral values, principles, and standards within us that guide our behavior. It defines who we are as a people, how we live in a society, and the decisions we make in our lives, in our family units, in our work, and in our ambitions. When it comes to government and the elections and ethical space, it takes on a different meaning. Ethics are the bedrock by which our elected representatives are accountable to the people who elect them, the foundation by which a government serves its people in good faith and is essential to the operations of government itself. The public's distrust of government is a natural one. Government has the inherent power to shape and affect our lives. It levies taxes, it creates regulation, it passes law and enforces those laws for the good of society as a whole, but not always for favorable to the individual. It's a natural tension between the government and those who are governed. How elections operate and the ethics maintained within the campaign processes are just as important. The legislature sets out the rules by which the election processes operate, and it is up to the commission to ensure compliance with the rules in pursuit of fairness. It promotes and maintains a level playing field for all involved. That's the way it has to be. In accepting this nomination, I plan to take that duty seriously. I know I will have a lot to learn and will need to do so quickly, but in looking at some of the commission's actions in past meetings, I'm relieved to see that the commission and staff strive to be consistent. Votes are rarely divided on any partisan biases. In my interpretation, the commission favors obtaining compliance over a more enforcement flavored approach. I view the role of an ethics commissioner similar to that of a judge, an umpire, or a referee. The rules are the rules, and they will be applied fairly and equally, regardless of the party, the team, or the player involved. And listening to the views and opinions of my fellow commissioners and keeping an open mind of what a just outcome for any matter before us are the pledges I make to you today. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for being here again, sir. Are there any questions from the committee for the nominee? Chair recognizes Representative Mallon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Gross, for coming forward and being willing to serve. Same question I asked of Ms. Bailey. One of the side effects of this disastrous website rollout, which came at a terrible time, was that we had to act as a committee and a full legislature to delay the deadline for qualifying contribution certification for some clean elections candidates who had trouble filing. So I just wanted to highlight that. Are you willing to use your role as commissioner, your oversight role, to work with the staff and help ensure that the website is both usable for filers and accessible to any member of the public who, is entitled to know the information from the filings?
Absolutely. And I tend to agree with you. If the website is one of the first mediums in which the public or any potential campaigners interface with the commission, it's important that that functions appropriately. So I agree.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Chair recognizes Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gross, nice to see you. Not much a question, but just let the committee know that I worked with Colton back about 8 years on a lawsuit regarding ballot access here in Maine, and I found him to be competent and professional, and I think he'd be fine and good on the Ethics Commission.
Isn't that so?
Isn't that so, Colton?
That is so, Representative Boyer. One of the more enjoyable and better learning experiences of my early legal career. It was a great opportunity.
Chair recognizes Representative Himes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here today, and congratulations on your nomination. Same question I asked the previous individual. Please explain to the committee here what sticks out in your mind as one of your largest failures in your career.
Certainly. I'm going to echo a sentiment similar to that of Attorney Brooke Bailey's, recently was handed my first loss by the Supreme Judicial Court. And I believe it was due to a bit of an overly zealous interpretation of my client's position. And again, it was probably due in part to the bulldogish mentality. There's a way to get this done and achieve an objective on behalf of a client. And it was a well-fought battle that the Supreme Court came down on in favor of the other side.
But you
Thank
do
you.
feel that you represented your client to the fullest extent of your capability. Is that
Certainly.
correct, sir?
So I'm sorry to overturn. Yep, certainly, 100%.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Representative Frederick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see you've received the Katahdin Award for pro bono work. Can you describe that? Is it for more than just providing free care?
Certainly.
Free loss of.
Absolutely. Great question. So the Katahdin Award is a recognized award by the Maine State Bar Association for attorneys that provide, I believe it's over 50 hours of pro bono legal work per year. And I was fortunate enough to get involved with a group of individuals that were set out to save the wolves. There was a wolf habitat facility here in Maine that needed significant help reforming some of their business formation structures, and I got to play a role in that.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Mr. Gross, seeing none. Chair will now take comments from persons attending this hearing who wish to speak for or against the nomination. The chair will request if there is anyone here who intends on doing that, can you please raise your hand? Seeing no hands raised, the chair will skip through the script regarding taking comments from the public. All public comments therefore having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. Review any additional written comments on the nomination that have been received by the committee. Vote on the nomination and notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title 3 MRSA Section 157 and the joint rules. The vote must be taken within 35 days from the date of the governor's written notice. The hearing by Joint Standing Committee on the Veterans and Legal Affairs for Colton Gross Esquire of Portland for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices is closed. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take the vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, therefore, the chair would inquire whether any member present objects to proceeding to take the vote immediately. Seeing no objection. The pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs recommend to the Senate of the 132nd Maine Legislature that the nomination of Colton Gross Esquire of Portland for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices be confirmed. In accordance with MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157, and with the joint rules of the 132nd Legislative vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Graham.
Yay.
Representative Graham, yay. Representative Terry.
Yay.
Representative Terry, yay. Representative Frost.
Oh, yes.
Representative Frost, yes. Representative Chapman.
Yep.
Representative Chapman, yes. Senator Doosan. Senator Doosan, absent. Representative Boyer.
Yay.
Representative Boyer, yay. Senator Hickman.
Yay.
Senator Hickman, yay. Representative Supika.
Yes.
Representative Supika, yes. Senator Timberlake.
Yes.
Senator Timberlake, yes. Representative Himes.
Yes.
Representative Himes, yes. Representative Fredericks. Yes. Representative Fredericks, yes. Representative Faircloth.
Yes.
Representative Faircloth, yes. Representative Mallon.
Yes.
Representative Mallon, yes. With 12 out of 13 members present, that is unanimous approval.
12 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and none in the negative with one member absent, it is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs that the nomination of Colton Gross Esquire of Portland for appointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices be confirmed. Congratulations. This is the public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs for the purpose of considering. Committee will be in order. The committee will be in order. Thank you. This is the public hearing of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs for the purpose of considering the nomination by the governor of Mr. Dennis R. Marble of Hamden for reappointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. Under the law and joint rules of the legislature, this committee is required to hold this public hearing and to recommend confirmation or denial of the nominee by majority vote of the committee members present and voting. As chairs of the committee, we will then send written notice of the committee's recommendations to the President of the Senate. The committee will hear testimony from and have an opportunity to question the governor or her representative, the nominee, and any other persons present who wish to speak for or against the nomination. Persons testifying at the public hearing today are advised that the hearing is live streamed and may be seen and heard by persons watching online, and that a recording of the meeting will be archived. Pursuant to Title III, Section 157 of the main statutes, which require that there be an affirmative motion to recommend confirmation of the nominee, the chair recognizes Representative Frost for the purpose of making such a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs recommend confirmation of Mr. Dennis R. Marble of Hampton for reappointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices.
Copy of the statutory requirements for this position is available at the rostrum. The chair now recognizes again Mr. Bushy for the purposes of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Thank you once again, and possibly for the last time ever, Senator Hickman, Representative Supika, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs. My name is Joe Bushy, and I'm the Director of Boards and Commissions for Governor Mills. I'm happy to be here on behalf of the governor to speak in support of the nomination of Dennis Marble of Hamden for reappointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. Mr. Marble fills the 5th seat on the commission for an unenrolled member. He has filled that seat since the summer of 2020. He received his master's degree from the University of Maine and a bachelor's degree from Colby College. For many years, he served as executive director of the Bangor Area Homeless Shelter and served on the Hamden Town Council. He has served as chair of the Bangor Regional Chamber of Commerce's Community Council, chair of the Area FEMA Board, and as a member of the Statewide Homeless Council in the past. In his many years in community service, he has been recognized by his peers and received the Bangor Region Leadership Institute's Leadership Award in 2010 and the Bangor Chamber's Arthur Comstock Award for Community Involvement and Distinguished Leadership in 2015. On behalf of Governor Mills, I urge you to support the nomination of Dennis Marble for reappointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you very much for being here for perhaps the last time.
Perhaps.
Are there any questions of the committee for Mr. Bushy? Seeing none.
Thank you.
The chair now recognizes Mr. Dennis R. Marble for purpose of making a statement concerning this nomination.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Senator Hickman, Representative Speaker, members of the committee. My name is Dennis Marble, and I'm here seeking your recommendation for reappointment to a term on the Maine Ethics Commission, which has a more formal name, which I always mess up when I try to say it. So if it's okay, I'm going to refer to it as the Ethics Commission. I feel a little tiny bit remiss in terms of preparing you with anything updated. My rationale was two things. I was retired when I was appointed, and I'm still retired, and my vision hasn't really changed any. I also feel that there is a track record of the work I have done on the commission for the last 5+ years. I don't know if any of you are familiar with any of that, but it does exist. I want to tell you a couple very simple, important things to me. Colton just alluded to one of them, and I believe Brooke did earlier as well. Democracy is very important to me, especially currently in terms of how we all act together. And I believe that the Maine Ethics Commission is key if operated correctly, as it has been, in assuring the public that democratic processes are defensible and healthy. I've been very, very impressed with the staff over there. I've been very impressed with my fellow commissioners. I need to tell you two things right up front. I am not an attorney. That's why there's no Esquire after my name. And I do not own a cell phone. I will also confess to you that I've had too much time to think about some of these questions sitting here while the other two candidates were listened to. And I feel a little bit, if you can indulge me for a second, like Robert Redford in the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, when they were going to get hired to guard a mule train full of gold in South America somewhere. And the guy said, "Can you shoot?" And he stood and was terrible. It's not who we knew he was in character. And he said, "Can I move?" And then he was okay. So my sitting here, having too much time to anticipate two known questions, as well as some others, may not serve me as well as I'd like it to leaving here. Thank you for your time, and I'll stop there and take any questions.
Thank you very much for being here and for putting yourself up for re-nomination. The chair will just open with the question that I asked Ms. Brooke Bailey, and that is on a scale of 1 to 5, sir, how would you rate your judgment?
4.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Representative Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Marble. I have to say that I truly appreciate your past history and the work you've done. I sit on the Health and Human Services Committee, and I'm also a nurse practitioner. And so thank you for your prior work. My question is, what was the biggest hurdle in your experience on the Ethics Commission? And I really respect that you've been there and you want to continue to be on the Ethics Commission, but what was the biggest hurdle that you may have encountered during your time?
The biggest hurdle I've encountered on the commission? Honestly, nothing comes to mind. I've had a significant learning curve, again, to the lack of legal background, surrounded by attorneys who are adept at pursuing logical models and citations and where they go. That's not always something I was trained to do. I don't have a clear example for your question. I apologize.
You may proceed with the follow-up question,
I
Representative Graham.
guess I would rephrase it as, what was the biggest issue that you encountered in your experience on the Ethics Commission?
I could answer that a couple different ways. One answer would have to do with scope of impact. We had a situation, I believe, 2 years ago with Act Blue, where we found them out of compliance and levied a significant fine. And I think that was significant in terms of the scope of the fine and the message that it sent. There have been other times where and there's one going on now where a complainant is arguing that an existing organization should go beyond the constraints of what it's supposed to do in law and also form something else like a ballot question committee in order to be compliant with reporting. My feeling is that if something exists under the law as written and is following those guidance, that should be what it has to do. It should not have to reinvent another methodology to do so. But that's been significant.
Chair recognizes Representative Mallett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And obviously, House members are going to have to go vote here in a second. But Mr. Marble, will you commit to working with the other commissioners and with the staff to ensure that the website is functional and meets the needs of both filers and, more importantly, the public?
Absolutely. If I can offer just a couple of comments. Staff has been clearly aware of the issue. Sometimes it's difficult to bridge the vendor with what you know in your role at work, and I think that's been a problem. I would also share that problems with websites and reporting are not new. They've been going on. They predated my tenure on the commission.
Chair recognizes Representative Mallett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I agree with you. All of that said, in the 2024 cycle and the 2022 cycle, the website was far more functional than it is right now.
Agreed.
Chair recognizes Representative Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Marble. This is for the independent seat. We have Republicans, Democrats, independent. Could you tell me, kind of, besides being unenrolled, what makes you independent? Do you have positions on the right and then positions on the left, and so you're independent, or?
I was raised independent, and my work in the homeless shelter was alluded to earlier, so I'll use that part of my answer. I came here a lot lobbying for support and frankly for funding, and realized in very practical ways that wasn't a partisan issue. That was something I had to work with across both sides of the aisle. Similarly, my involvement with the chamber, I take it as the
Mr.
bill,
Marble,
not something I've
I'm going
said.
to put the committee at ease because I don't want the members to not hear your answers. And so the committee's going to be at ease. There's a roll call vote that the House has to
Okay.
take. So we apologize, but this is where we are in session. So if you could just, as my mother would say, hold your horses, and we'll be back momentarily. The committee will be at ease.
If you can help me remember where I left off, that would be very helpful.
It's on video, then your rule. Okay. The committee will be in order. The chair would invite Mr. Marble back up to the mic. The committee is in a public hearing on the confirmation of the reappointment of Mr. Dennis R. Marble to the Commission on Election and Practices, Governmental Ethics and Election
Thank you.
Practices. At the time of the committee going at ease to allow members of the House of Representatives to go and record a roll call vote. Representative Boyer had the mic and was asking Mr. Marble a set of questions. Representative Boyer, if you could repeat your question from when we left, we'll pick back up where we started.
Yeah, I heard some of his answer. I guess I'll ask in a different way. Could you tell me something that you appreciate about President Trump?
To be honest with you, that's difficult. I have a hard time getting to policy through the personality. I'm sure there's some clarity of policy that I would respect in terms of his directness, but I have a hard time getting to that point.
Follow, Mr.
You
Chair.
may proceed. Keep your remarks to the position that he holds and whether or not you believe The question has to do with the position that he holds. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason I asked that question is because it's the independent position. I didn't ask the Democrat nominee how they feel about it or vice versa. And so I have in front of me a series of Facebook posts over the years from you, and they slant definitely against Republicans. You've called the president liar in chief. You've called him a racist liar, divisive and destructive prima donna. How are we supposed to believe that you're not biased?
Let me go back to the first question, the way you asked it, and just state that for more than 20 years, I've been ranked unenrolled. I did for 3 months, whenever it was about 8 years ago, enroll as a Democrat because I was supporting someone that was running against Janet Mills in the primary. When that was over and he lost, I unenrolled again at the town office. I make no bones about being moderate to liberal socially. I've also had to be conservative fiscally. And I know that's an old line that a lot of people use. I think Senator King has been attacked for that kind of statement before. I'm not going to try to come up with an answer that may change your opinion about evidence you're already seeing about how I think. So I won't do that. I'll admit to. I think I have been.
Representative Boyd, the question was answered. The chair recognizes Senator Timberlake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Mr. Marvel, for being here. I guess the question that I ask, and we ask about it in your comments that we have before us, there's 30 some comments from your Facebook use. I think the one that concerns me of how you would be fair and honest is that on February 4th of 2022, President Trump wasn't in office at that time or anything else, so we don't have to worry about that. The legitimate political discourse, I think the only way in which I can accurately see that political party is to cease the use of the word Republican. I think that's something that's very concerning to me when it's somebody that I'm asking to sit on a board and be judgmental. To cease the use of the word Republican. How do you think that I should see by that statement?
You'll have to reach that conclusion your way. I can respond in a couple of ways myself to that. I think that I grew up in an era where there were people to be admired in both parties. There was no question about that. When I saw the way John McCain was treated, and later when I saw the way Liz Cheney was treated, and I may not have the timelines right here, and if they're wrong, I'm sorry. But the way people like that, of that party, clearly of that party, of a conservative history within that party, would then, in my opinion, be besmirched publicly by other members of that party, led me to severely question what that stood for. I may not have worded it well. Sometimes I'm a hothead. I'm not always cautious when I open my mouth. My mother told me I should straighten that out years ago. I've gotten a lot of guidance about staying quiet on social media that I haven't followed. Here we are. I can tell you that if I didn't care about people like that, if I didn't care about the legacy of the party, I wouldn't have been upset.
A quick follow-up. So, Mr. Marvel, I guess I'm a hothead. Probably is a lot like you.
You and I would do okay in certain places together,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we'd be all right.
Yeah.
But I know the way I lean and I know the way I think. And I know that when we are appointing a Republican, that we're going to get somebody that's Republican leaning. And when we appoint a Democrat, we're going to get somebody that's Democrat leaning. And when I look at an independent, I'm looking at the person that's somewhat down the middle of the road. As I look at this, I know you said it's up to me to make up that decision, but I believe that everybody deserves a chance at explaining how we get there. Do you think it was wise to have put these posts out there? And I'm gladly give you the paper so you can read them all, but I suspect you know what they all say. Do you regret putting this down, or do you wish, or are you saying, yep, I did it and that's the way we go?
Okay. I think if you ask people who've been in the room at the Ethics Commission, from staff to Bill Schneider to Josh Tardy, to several other people, I think I would bet money, honestly, that they're going to tell you I've been fair in my comments and my decisions and my recommendations. I realize that the appearance of those kinds of comments may go against that, may not help that fact. And I'm not here to contest whether or not this should be a part of the dialogue, because I think character is. Sure, some of those I wish I'd slept on 24 hours and thought about some more. Perhaps been some more reasonable in the words. I'll give you a clear example right now. When I used the word Republican on social media 4 years ago, the last thing I was thinking of was the state of Maine Republican Party. That was all about national level stuff, but I didn't clarify that. It doesn't necessarily come across that way. Beyond that, I don't have a better answer for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Representative Boyer, and I just want to remind people that freedom of speech is essential. And the appearance of impropriety or unfairness or bias in the social media sphere is what it is. I think Mr. Marvel has already told the committee that his judgment is 4 on a scale of 1 to 5. So I can entertain some more questions on this, but they must have to do with his ability to perform the function of the commission that he has already performed and will continue to perform should he be recommended and confirmed to be reappointed. So the chair would recognize Representative Boyer with that parameter.
Duly noted, Mr. Chair. Thank you. And this has nothing to do with Facebook posts. This has to do with the decision that was made a couple months ago by the Ethics Commission. They were given evidence of a campaign manager for a gubernatorial candidate soliciting under the table work in violation of campaign violation laws. And we have in the paper today that that same candidate, the headline in the BDN is Maine Republican gubernatorial candidate denied clean election funds over fraud allegations. I believe in your deciding of that vote in which you voted to not investigate that candidate, you were sufficient with the candidate's word and thought that it seemed fair enough, more or less. And I wonder, do you regret that decision that you made a couple months ago, given the news today?
Do you remember, or can you recall what the vote was out of the 5 commissioners?
I believe it was 4 commissioners, and
Oh, you're right.
I think it was maybe 2-2, but I mean, I guess I'm asking you about your vote, your judgment, how you cannot vote to investigate when you have hard evidence of a campaign manager soliciting, quote, under the table work. How can you rationalize that?
I don't recall the discussion being that clear. If evidence were provided that clear, then I would follow that and vote that way. That's all I can tell you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Representative Mallett.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Mr. Marble, do you commit, standing here, now you're not under oath, but I would hope you take your word seriously. Do you commit that no matter who is before you on the commission, whether they are a loudmouth liberal or a loudmouth conservative, that you will give those people a fair shake and base your decisions on the fact pattern and the law and the professional judgment that has been brought forward, and not whatever political views you might personally hold?
To the best of my ability, I have and will continue to do that if nominated.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? The chair recognizes Representative Himes, followed by Representative Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here today. Congratulations on your nomination. I'm going to change my question because you had a lot of time to think on it.
Well, we've come up with some other examples in the meantime, so.
So in your application for nomination, there's a period of time from 1992 to 1995 where you were the Maine Department of Corrections, working on GED, librarian counselor.
Yes.
That's the time period I want your fellowship from.
That's actually an easy one. That was at the Charleston Correctional Facility, if I'm right in the time frame. And I was an adult ed teacher. I co-facilitated anger management groups with the licensed clinical social worker, and I oversaw a crew on the library. And I, in hindsight, got too close to trying to help a certain inmate through work at the library, not realizing how violent he could actually be. And ended up being cornered in my office for about a minute with him threatening to take me down because he misunderstood something someone else had said about me. Should have taught me more caution. According to some of the questioning today, I'm still working on learning that lesson. But that's what I think of in terms of judgment back then.
Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Representative Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chair,
It's okay.
apologize, I'm tired. Just allow me a little bit. I'm
A
not.
little bit of leeway.
First, I'd like to thank you. You've done a fantastic job representing yourself.
Thank you.
Not easy. But it is a time when divisiveness is at its utmost. It's unbelievable. I see it on the floor. I see it in this building. I see it everywhere. Do you feel that somebody who perpetuates that kind of divisiveness is right for the independent role on the Ethics Committee? So it's near this, but it's not.
Again, and I don't want to just get repetitive. If you judge my thoughts, words, behaviors as a functioning member of that commission, you may come to one conclusion. If people want to bring in social media from out here into that room, you may get a different answer. And if that became the problem, if that became divisive, I would resign. Because I think the commission needs to be able to do the work it does.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Mr. Marble from the committee? Seeing none. Thank you very much for being here today and taking our questions. And for the work that you have done on the commission to date, sir. The chair will now take comments from persons attending this hearing who wish to speak for or against this nomination. Chair would inquire if there is anyone in the room who wishes to testify on Mr. Marble's nomination. Seeing no hands, is there anyone online? Seeing no one online, the chair will skip the script regarding public comment. All public comments therefore having been taken, the committee will now proceed as follows. Review any additional written comments on the nomination that have been received by the committee. Vote on the nomination and notify the President of the Senate pursuant to Title III MRSA Section 157 and the joint rules. The vote must be taken within 35 days from the date of the governor's written notice. The hearing by the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs for Mr. Dennis R. Marble of Hampden for reappointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices is closed. In accordance with the law, the committee may not take the vote on this nomination sooner than 15 minutes after the close of the public hearing unless all committee members who are present agree. At this time, therefore, the chair will require there is an objection. So at the very least, the committee will be at ease until 2:50. The chair recognizes Representative Boyer.
When would be the germane time for the committee to discuss the nomination? I thought the objection would launch us into a discussion.
The objection could launch us into a discussion. We can't take the vote for 15 minutes anyway. So if anyone would like to share their thoughts on what has been shared, this is the time to do it. The chair recognizes Representative Boyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be opposing this nomination for the kind of reasons under the questions that I laid out. This is a independent position. Unenrolled voters make up the plurality of our state. And so I think it's incumbent that we have someone that represents that unenrolled block as best as they can. Obviously, independent means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But I think it was poor judgment to make those Facebook posts. I think it was poor judgment to make those Facebook posts while serving as the independent commissioner. And I did also have some real issues with that hearing that I referenced, in which a recording of a campaign manager soliciting under the table work did not rise to the ability, to the level for Mr. Marble to think that that would be worth looking a closer look to. And so for those reasons, I will be opposing the nomination. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's anyone else in the committee who wishes to speak now, there is no reason why you have to. We can also speak later before the vote. We can't take the vote before 2:50 anyway, because it's from the time that the public hearing closes, not the time of any discussion before or after that. So with that, the committee will be at ease till at least 2:50.
Hello, is there anybody in there?
Committee will be in order. Welcome back to the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs. We are in a public hearing. Excuse me, we are deliberating.
It's very hard to think when that bell is ringing. Can we go vote and come back? This is a new rate.
You have to go vote?
Yes.
Please go vote. The committee will be at ease. I didn't hear that. The committee will be in order. The pending question before the committee is that the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs recommend to the Senate of the 132nd Maine Legislature the nomination of, I have the wrong, Dennis R. Marble of Hamden for reappointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices be confirmed. In accordance with 3 MRSA Chapter 6, Section 157 of the Joint Rules of the 132nd Legislature, the vote will be taken by the yeas and nays. A vote of yes will be in favor of recommending confirmation. A vote of no will be against the motion to recommend confirmation. Is the committee ready for the question? Chair recognizes Senator Timberlake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll make it short and sweet. I just want to put it on the record that at this point in time, I don't see how I could possibly support this nomination at this time. I just think that with all of the information that we have from there and with talking to Mr. Marble, he doesn't deny it or anything. I respect that in the man, but I think that this is somebody that's supposed to be an independent. And none of that comes up to me as being an independent. I think that we fired a police chief in this state house for less than that. And so for those reasons, I cannot be supporting this nomination at this time.
Chair recognizes Representative Fairclough.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to emphasize that while I have concerns about whatever social media post, there is no policy that exists with the governmental ethics and election practices. And what I do know about this member of the commission, this longtime member of the commission, is his standing in the Bangor community, which is really as a pillar of the community. And I do not exaggerate in any way in that regard. When you look at his positions of receiving the award for the G. Clifton Eames Leadership Award and the Arthur Comstock Award, I can tell you because I knew both Cliff Eames and Arthur Comstock, and they are representative of kind of the highest pillars of the Bangor community. And not that it matters, but they I don't think would be of my same political persuasion. They are people tremendously respected by everyone, and to receive those kinds of awards are representative of the stature which Dennis Marble has in our community. And I would submit that his work in the Bangor community is the highest integrity and highest respect from all across the political spectrum. In fact, I think he rises far above that in all of his conduct. And I would further suggest that from what I understand of his service on this particular commission, that he is a person of superlative integrity and standard. And so while we've seen over the last, 15 years, things that people say on Facebook, I think we need to assess people based upon their entire lives. And I think the evidence is overwhelming that he is a person of tremendous integrity, and I'll be supporting this nomination.
Chair recognizes Representative Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on previous precedents that was set in this building by legislators before me, I will be a no for obvious reasons. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Frost.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to take this vote based on my time in this legislature. And I will say that as an independent, I have feelings that, on for and against both sides. And I make a big point of not putting that out on social media. So I do think that was a mistake. However, I also think that people make mistakes, and we're human. And there was no precedented rule against it. And I'm also looking at, the record, and I do think that Mr. Marble has done a exemplary job in his role. And so I will vote in favor.
Is the committee ready for the question? The chair recognizes Representative Sopika.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the thing that keeps getting stuck in my mind is simple replacing of words. I keep going back to if the word Democrat was replaced with the word Republican, and how would I feel? And would I feel outraged, or would I feel safe appointing somebody to this committee? And my initial thought is no, I wouldn't. I would most likely I would vote against them if the word was changed. And that keeps sticking in my mind. And there's moments where I can kind of talk myself out of that for a variety of reasons, but I keep kind of circling back to it. And I get that there is no policy in place. And I also don't want to see a world where, we think, well, we can be as nefarious and evil as we want as long as we don't say it out loud. So I appreciate freedom of speech. It's this weird area, but it's also the Ethics Commission and the trust and faith in that institution. I do believe Mr. Marble has executed his job on that committee well. I wouldn't be able to vote for him if those words were switched. And so I am not going to vote for him now. And I wanted to let you all know that. So.
Is the committee ready for the question? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Graham.
Yay.
Representative Graham, yay. Representative Terry.
Nay.
Representative Terry, nay. Representative Frost.
Yes.
Representative Frost, yes. Representative Chapman.
No.
Representative Chapman, no. Senator Doosan.
No.
Senator Doosan, no. Representative Boyer.
No.
Representative Boyer, no. Senator Hickman.
No.
Senator Hickman, no. Representative Sopika.
No.
Representative Sopica, no. Senator Timberlake,
No.
Senator Timberlake, no. Representative Himes,
No.
Representative Himes, no. Representative Fredericks.
No.
Representative Fredericks, no. Representative Faircloth.
Yes.
Representative Faircloth, yes. Representative Mallon.
Yes.
Representative Mallon, yes. All right, with, sorry, let me count, 4, 5. With 7 members in opposition and 5 members in support, the confirmation fails.
I think all of us were voting today, so let's check the vote one more time, Madam Clerk, just to make sure that we got it right for the record. I will read it in the record as well.
Sorry,
but I wanna
okay,
make sure.
hold
I know
on,
it's
I'm
okay.
recounting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yep, 5, 6, 7, 8. I forgot to count the chairs. My apologies.
No worries.
There was 9. So with 13 members present, because we had Dusan join us. So with 13 members present, we had 9 members vote against the confirmation, and we had 4 members vote in favor. Thank you
it
so
was-
much.
No worries. 4 members of the committee having voted in the affirmative and 9 in the negative. It is the vote of the Joint Standing Committee on Veterans and Legal Affairs that the nomination of Mr. Dennis R. Marble of Hamden for reappointment to the Commission on Governmental Ethics and Election Practices be denied. That takes care of the work that we have been approved to take up at this moment. I am going to leave the committee at ease, just in case we get permission to come back. I will come back and adjourn the meeting if we don't. So with that, the committee will be at ease.